Hello and welcome to Say Hi to the Future, Ingenious Thinkers, a podcast aimed at highlighting the human side of ingenuity. My name is Ken Tencer, curator of Say Hi to the Future, helping leaders think differently in the face of uncertainty and ambiguity. Better thinking, better outcomes. With me today is Prishita Agarwal, co-founder and CEO of Mosa, Vancouver's leading upcycled glassware brand. Like this video if you enjoy our show and subscribe to our channel. Leave us a comment with who we should interview next. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. So Prishita Agarwal, welcome to Say Hi to the Future.
Hi, so nice to be here. And looking forward to chatting with you today.
So Prishita, this is very interesting conversation for me because one, you just finished at UBC, University of British Columbia for business, but you're already a BC Businesswoman of the Year. So that's pretty impressive. You're usually supposed to wait a few years before getting that. So firstly, tell us a little bit about UBC and what you learned there, maybe some of your business background leading up to it.
Yeah, definitely. I grew up in India and then I moved to Canada 5 years ago, almost, I want to say, to start at UBC. So I did my BCom degree, specializing in finance with a concentration in sustainability, and I did the co-op program as well. So I was very involved when I was on campus. I started my business 2 years ago on campus. So that's how it led up to like BC Women of the Year. But my time on campus was spectacular. Like I had such a great time talking to the colleagues, the professors, even the support system on campus is so strong. The campus is beautiful. Like if you've ever been to UBC, it's like a huge campus. You have everything on campus. There's like few beaches, a lot of places for you to just hang out. And even like classes at Sauder itself, they were very helpful. So it would like I would learn things in class and go back and implement it directly in the business. So it was kind of like helping out in my own learning process and complementing that with the co-op program. So I was able to do 3 different internships at small and big companies while I was studying at UBC, which I think really helped me like grow professionally.
So tell me a little bit about that too. Tell me a little bit about co-op, because I've been a huge proponent of that. So tell me a little bit about what you did and how that helped you, because I just think my personal opinion is I think that every business student should engage in a co-op at least once, if not twice.
Exactly. So that was my learning coming in, that I obviously learned a lot in classes, but what you learn by going to any of these universities, whether it's UBC, whether it's SFU or anyone, it's like things that's outside of classroom. So clubs is a big component, but what co-op does is it puts you in an actual work situation. So I did 3 co-op terms. The first one was with a company called Panda Venture in Vancouver. They're a VC firm. So because I was like interested in the entrepreneurship space, it was very interesting for me to be actually on the other side of the table this time, like talking to entrepreneurs, understanding their story and seeing like what investors talk about after pitch calls. What is their thought process? So as a student, I could have never gotten that opportunity if it was not through a program like co-op. For my second internship, I knew that I wanted to grow more of my sales skills, and I've heard that Procter and Gamble had one of the best sales programs for new hires. So I worked with them for 4 months doing B2B sales, which I think helped a lot in my business when I try to do B2B sales now. And then the third one, I was like, let's try something different. So I went to Boston Consulting Group for 4 months in Toronto, for 12 weeks, so 3 months technically. And I was, working as a consultant there. It was all in person. So it was all different experiences. So I think the amount of experiences I got through the co-op program helped me a lot just understand the market better, understand how the professional world works, and get a better sense of what I want to do after I graduate.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And that to me, that's a golden trio. I mean, equity, sales, because yes, if you're going to be in business, sales has to be part of it. And then insight driven consulting. So congrats on being part of those organizations. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
So your BC Businesswoman of the Year award was for your work in glass waste management. Tell us about that.
Yeah, definitely. So my work in glass waste management is with my startup called Mosa. At Mosa, we upcycled used alcohol bottles into home decor products. So these are products like candles, glassware, platters, lamps. The main concept behind this was that glass bottles don't get recycled very well in our system today, even though they are 100% recyclable. So we were like, how can we collect this waste and make it into something more valuable to our community? So my interest in sustainability started a long time ago. I mentioned earlier, I grew up in India. So growing up, even like with my mom, like we would like repurpose everything, starting with whether it's like torn clothes, like making it into cleaning supplies, or orange peels, making like face masks out of it. So it was just like a concept that was so inherently um, it just made sense to me inherently, just because if there's something that you're going to be throwing out, might as well use it again, and it's free of cost for you. So when I came to Canada and I found out about like the amazing technology, the infrastructure, everything felt so much in place. And when I looked into recycling while I was studying at UBC, I was doing a few sustainability courses as well. Um, I found out that like glass waste, we have a system for it, much better than a lot of other developing countries, but it's still not 100% perfect. So we talk a lot about plastic when we're talking about sustainability. Glass waste doesn't get that like center spotlight, even though glass is such an easy material to work with. Like it's 100% recyclable. It's not as complicated as like recycling plastic and like different forms of plastic. But just like the carbon offsets with glass is also so high because it's heavy, it's fragile to work with. So just that's a problem that I saw was in our community, and I tried solving that with my startup Mosa. So that's the reason I got the BC Woman of the Year award, was for my work with Mosa.
Wow. Okay, so there's all these different areas, and you touched on it a little bit. How do you scan the environment and say it needs to be glass? Glass is what I'm most interested in. Like, what leads you to that, specifically?
I would say I'm obviously biased because I started working with glass, but I would say you can do that with any material. It doesn't have to be glass. The reason glass happened was because it's actually very funny. I was at UBC and I would host a lot of like people over all the time at my house. So I would have a lot of glass bottles in my house itself. And most university students do this, but they like collect all the glass bottles like either in their living room, dorm room, and all these glass bottles are just there. So I had all these glass bottles, and one day my roommate was like, oh, it's kind of gathering up, like we need to clear it out, we can't just keep stocking it. So we took like 2 buckets of just glass bottles, went to a recycling room, which was in the basement, to just put everything in their separate bucket. And when I was throwing these glass bottles in the recycling, it just clicked me that a lot of these glass bottles are very pretty, and probably these alcohol companies or like any other glass manufacturing companies have spent a lot of effort and money into designing these glass bottles, making it unique. And what we do is just throw it in the recycling. Maybe it gets recycled, maybe it's not. And I wasn't sure. So I started my research. So it's just that I started working in glass waste because that's what like got my curiosity going after that incident. But it could have been anything else. I think if it was like a different time when it clicked, it just like for every entrepreneur or for everyone who's starting an initiative, there's like a time when it actually clicks when they decide they want to do this. For me, it was when I was throwing those glass bottles in the bin and just couldn't see everything. Like a lot of them just broke when I was throwing them. I was probably not doing it correctly at the time, but just that's what got me into the process of thinking about sustainability even more in Canada, and that's why I stuck with glass waste. And the more I looked into it, the bigger the problem seemed.
As an entrepreneur, I mean, I'm always fascinated in those moments that you're describing, but there's a huge leap between I like the way those bottles look. Some of them are breaking, don't know where they're going, and I really should be the one starting a business to solve this. I mean, what drives you there?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So for me, that was around 10 months of time. So in Feb 2020, is when we started working with the idea, and it took me like around 10 months to finally launching the startup. And that 10 months was just researching, a lot of research. First few months, I was just on the internet looking, talking to people at different recycling organizations locally to see like, is this a real problem, or is this just like something I felt? Like what's actually happening? Understanding the system really well. And then what was really nice about us was that when we were starting, we did not think of it as a business idea. I did not know that I'm creating a business right now. I was like, I see a problem. Let's see what we can do. So I remember me and my co-founder, we were both together from like very early on, and we were ordering a glass cutting machine because we have these glass bottles at home. So we invested around like $80. And for a week as students, we were like, oh, do we want to put that money in? It's like 40 each. And it's like, it seems like not a, it's like, it's such a minimum amount right now. But at that time, as students, not knowing what we are doing and that we're going to create a business out of it, we were like, this is a fun thing we are doing. This is like a nice idea. And there's already like a machine on Amazon. So we just went on, we purchased something, but it took that, even like that first step took like a week for us to finalize. And then we started cutting it. It just wasn't working. That machine, we couldn't figure it out. I don't have like an engineering background. I'm very business focused. So it just, we started making it. It took us like, I want to say like 3 weeks till we like started getting the first pieces and then polishing it with hand, like sanding it. So we got like sandpapers. We had like a few engineering friends who would come over to help us like make those. And then when my friends would come for parties, I would have those those glasses made from used glass bottles. And they were like, this is so cool. Can I get some? And we're like, yeah, why not? Like, it's free. Like, we have this machine now. We can make as many as we want. So we started making it for friends. Some of them were part of like other student clubs that buy gifts. So when they were buying gifts, they would be like, oh, I know someone like who makes these glasses. Like, let's include it. So some like student clubs started reaching out to us. That's how it, I think, grew, was with the student clubs on campus itself. So that's why UBC plays like a huge part in our journey, because all the trial and testing was on campus with our own friends and like their friends and the community. It's like 60,000 students or even more at UBC. So we were just working with a lot of events, a lot of clubs, and then we started boothing on campus. So outside the Nest building, outside the Solder building, we grew our team. Like my friends, right now it's just my friends. So they'd be boothing with some products, talking to people, seeing what they think. At that time, our products looked very different from what they do today. But that like 10 month of process allowed us to just keep reiterating, see if there's the actual need. And then very organically it grew. And that's how like Mosa came into being. But like day one was just us cutting it in our living room in a dorm.
Wow. Let me ask something that I'm sure came up in your courses at Solder. How do you make your product unique? Because it sounds like if there's a machine available on Amazon, the fundamental product may not be unique. So how do you look for your point of difference?
Yeah, definitely. So for our product, the base product, anyone can make it, as I mentioned. Like anyone can cut a glass bottle at home. You can cut one, you can cut like up to 10, but there's no way to scale it up for any company. So there's no company right now that mass does it. Like if you go to IKEA, you don't see glasses made from used glass bottles because it's very difficult to scale that entire process. So what we have done at Mosa is that we're introducing the concept of micro factories. So these micro factories are hyper local manufacturing units. So the idea is that we collect local glass waste, we upcycle it locally, and we sell those products locally. So there's very, very less like transportation involved in the entire process. And the reason we're able to do that was that even though we started with those glass cutting machines, we realized it's a very time-consuming process and manually polishing it. So if you do it at home, you can probably make a couple, but it's not something somebody would like to do for the entire glassware collection. So what we are able to do is by getting those higher technology is to cut those glass bottles way more efficiently with better quality. So that's our base product. And what makes us very unique is like our other products out of it. So we have lamps that we make, we have platters, we have candles. Candle lines are one of our most popular because they come with soy wax scented wax inside. It's wooden wick. A very unique sense, all very, very eco-friendly and good for you. But even our labels, it's like very friendly labels. A lot of our labels, if you even go to our website, you will see it reaches our target demographic, and we have been able to find a gap in the market where there wasn't a specific kind of candle labeling for our target demographic. So we are able to be that quirky brand, but also being sustainable. We are not just a sustainable brand. We reach out to and we attract people from all different sorts because we are a fun, unique, high quality brand, which is also sustainable. So I think having that mix of both being innovative and being sustainable and putting that together efficiently has what made like Mosa successful until now.
I like that. I like quirky. Tell me more about quirky, because I mean, I guess when your source, is obviously very different bottles, very different shapes, different colors, different there could be different markings on it that, yeah, you have to embrace the fact that the product consistency is, or inconsistency is, part of the beauty of it.
Exactly. And then even when you're cutting it, and because these are all, we have to keep in mind that these are not new products. It's been used before. So it is okay if there are like a couple of scratches on the bottles. We won't discard it just because there's like a mark, like a kind of scratch. If it's a bigger one, then obviously like you have to go through the quality process of it. But every glass bottle is different, and there's so many different kind of glass bottles. So we do have a baseline of products that are consistent. So the wine bottles, because that's the highest number of glass bottles we receive, we do keep that. But other than that, there's so much innovation that we can work with outside of it. So we launched like a lamp collection, which is like with the light inside, it's painted, and the bottom's cut off, and there's like a bulb that goes in. So I think innovations like those is what keeps us unique and makes sure that and that's something that's like when you inherit to the company. Like every quarter, we are like releasing new products, coming up with new ideas on how we can work. And the best part is also when we're working with corporates, it's all custom. So if you come up to me and you're like, you wanna gift your employees 100 items and you want it to be sustainable, we work with you to see what's good fit for you. We customize our label to include your logos. If you want a glassware of a different kind of bottle, we can source that. So just a lot of like working directly with the end consumer itself and understanding what their needs are and making products based on their needs.
Hmm. And so tell me about your go-to-market now, because it's one thing when you're marketing to student clubs on campus, but it sounds like you're far beyond that now.
Yeah. So after launching officially in December 2022 as Mosa, we switched our target from students to outside of student body, which doesn't, which is not an exactly target market, but we have a B2B and a B2C strategy. For B2B, we work directly with corporates and event organizers. So these are any small to medium-sized companies today that reach out to us for employee gifting, client gifting, or for event gifting. So that's when I was mentioning about custom gifting. Those are mainly focused to our corporate clients who want to have their logos even on the gifts when they're giving it out for events. The second one I mentioned was we actually work with a winery as well. So we're just starting up with this concept for the B2B side, is that the one that we're working with is called Lulu Island Winery in Richmond. They give us their glass bottles because they have excess of it from the winery, and then we convert them into candles and give it back to them, and then they sell it in their local store. So it's like a full circle that you can see with a local community that we're trying to build up with those wineries. On the B2C side of things, we have our e-commerce page. So you can go online, purchase anything. It can be anything from like 1 to up to 20 for our B2C. If you order over 20, we can give you wholesale prices. So it's just better costing for you. And then for B2C, we also have retail stores. So we currently are in 15 retail stores across North America, mostly in Canada, but a couple in the States as well. So that's the strategy with B2C.
Very good. This is becoming a really important part of the circular economy. I mean, you start with an idea, you're working with micro factories, which I think are important for probably local employment, and then your actual product is definitely impacting again, or leveraging the notion of circular economy.
Yeah, definitely. So our main focus is like circular economy. That's how we started off, was how can we use waste product and make it into something new. So that's like core to anything and everything we do. And even as we expand, so what we are doing right now is actually working with City of Vancouver to pilot a new microfactory in Marpole. So very close still compared to like any other recycling facility we have around BC. It's very close to the city where we're going to be upcycling local glass bottles, but just at a bigger scale because we have the access to that kind of real estate in Marpole. So we're very excited to be expanding operations with partnership with the government as well.
Very nice. So Mosa, where does that come from?
Mosa is like mimosas because uh,
Ah.
Yeah, so the party that I was talking about when I hosted everyone over and then I was cleaning those glass bottles, it was a brunch party with a lot of mimosas. So when we were thinking back on like, oh, what should we name it? We made like an entire story journey of like, how did we start? What happened? And the word mimosa just kept coming over and over. And even our customer demographic, our target is like young women, young to like mid-aged women. So they love mimosa. So it made sense to have a name like that. We want to also make sure that it's that it attracts everyone. Like even though we are very big on
Mhm.
circular economy and sustainability, we don't want to just restrict our customer base to people who intensely care about sustainability and will do everything about sustainability. It's about bringing new people into this movement. So we want to be approachable for everyone who knows a little bit about circular economy but is just starting to get involved in it. So coming off as Mosa made sense because it's like it's fun, it's playful, and it's like it feels like an easy way to get involved.
Right. So it sounds almost a bit like a movement, not just a product line.
Yeah, definitely. So, we are a social impact company, so social is a big part of it. We have a lot of volunteers who come in to help us like collect glass bottles. We have beach cleanups that we organize. Even right now, if you go on our website, you can like pick for like sign in for like a collection, and we'll come to your house if you have more than 20 glass bottles. Collect your like glass bottles locally so we can upcycle them. You can buy products online to help sustainability because I mentioned that we do both like individuals and companies. A lot of time people come in, buy like a couple products for their house, and then like a couple of weeks later, they're like, "Oh, I'm organizing an event at work. I would love to have your products in." So it's such a it's a lot of word of mouth right now. But we are very big on like creating that impact and getting people involved wherever we can within these different steps.
Well, I hope you can use this interview to leverage it because it sounds like a wonderful business.
Yeah, I hope so.
So, Prishita Agarwal, co-founder and CEO of Mosa. It's amazing how quickly our time has gone this morning, and that it's coming to an end on Say Hi to the Future for this episode. One last question, because again, just as I started, you received BC Woman of the Year award for your work in glass waste management, for a project you founded as a student. Now, there's something else that you've done as a student that generally takes a few more years, and that's Activator Corrales, formerly SHIO. So, tell me a little bit about it, because I've from the beginning of SHIO, I was very aware of the work they've done and how important it is. So, tell me about being an activator and how they might have been helping you in your career development or your business development.
Yeah, definitely. I am a very new activator at Corellis. I very recently joined. I've been on a few calls with them, but what attracted me to Corellis was just the support system. It's such a strong group of women working together, and everyone you look, every single woman's profile on the platform, it's just so inspirational, and they're so open to talking to you, to sharing about the impact, and just even the concept. I did not know I could start investing in startups at such an early stage. But joining this community, you put in $1,100. And then together the funded pool gets invested in ventures. So right now, as an activator, talking to other activators, and we have our second round of funding for ventures coming out. I think it's on right now, and we're going to be selecting ventures in the next 2 months. It's just interesting being on that side, learning about different ventures, different kind of initiatives happening in your community, and being able to actually support them with such a small amount. Because I did recently graduate, so I don't have like excess funds to be investing in other startups while I'm growing my own. But even with a small amount, being able to join this community, it's so accessible for everyone. So I'm really appreciative of the community and the kind of events they're organizing locally and around different countries as well. They're in 3 countries right now, starting from Canada to now America as well. So just a very strong group of people that I'm very happy to be connected with. And I'm looking forward to learning more and working more with them over the years.
Well, Prashit Agarwal, again, congratulations. Thanks for your time. And we look forward to watching your success and to welcoming you back for updates in the future.
Yes, definitely. This was such a good time talking to you, Ken. You're always
Thank
amazing.
you. Take care.
Take care. See ya. Bye.